Yes. Uh, then we have two approaches to research. One is quantitative approach, other is qualitative approach, right? As we discussed, quantitative approach or quantitative research means that you are working with numbers, numerical data. You collect numerical data and you analyze numerical data and you come to conclusions in quantitative research. Here, in qualitative research, you are not working with numerical data. Here, basically, you work with non-numerical data. That's the significance here. You are not working with numerical data. That means statistics, percentages, numbers are not that relevant in qualitative research. They are not that relevant. Yes, still you can use numbers and percentages and things, but rather your emphasis is given on uh, concepts, opinions, experience, likewise. For example, if you do a piece of research on uh, on like a newly introduced ice cream brand, right? Yes, you can do quantitative research on that. Quantitative research, you can do that. You can collect how many people bought that, right? How many ice creams have been sold, likewise, that you can collect some numerical data. But experience of people cannot be calculated through numerical data. Experience of the people cannot be calculated through numerical data. Uh, the taste of ice cream cannot be calculated in number. That taste is your personal experience, right? This new flavor with the strawberry or something, right, would be appreciated by some people and some people would not be appreciated. Some people would be telling you that uh, that need some improvements. Likewise, their experiences are different. Some people have some complications with them. Okay. Therefore, when you are going to inquire about certain concepts, opinions, experiences, you cannot fully understand this world through numbers, right? Particularly when it comes to research in humanities. and social sciences. In humanities, uh, think you do research on short stories or novels or poetry. Then uh, your poetry appreciation cannot be calculated in numbers. That's some experience you have, right? The way you appreciate poetry or novel or short story or any other prose, fiction, non-fiction, this kind of things cannot be evaluated in numerical data. Therefore, you need to have different approaches to understand these concepts. That's why you have something called qualitative research. Then the major distinction of qualitative research is you do not uh, you do not rely on numbers here. You do not rely on numbers. That's a major distinction. You rather be focused on ideas, experiences, views, right? These things will be analyzed here, right? Then you collect non-numerical data in qualitative research and you analyze that non-numerical data. In media research, particularly, we can do uh, video analysis, right? Content analysis of video, audio, text, right? Then we can analysis them through non-numerical ways. We take in non-numerical data from them. So the basic difference now you know, quantitative research is based on numerical data. Qualitative research is based on non-numerical data like concepts, opinions, and experience. Right? Now we will be uh, exploring, right, more on qualitative research. So this is basically understanding your experiences. Right? Qualitative research seeks to gain insights and understand people's experiences and perspectives. What are the perspectives? Perspectives means in this world, different people have different perspectives, right? Uh, if you that two different people find one particular phenomenon in two different perspectives, right? If you take the example of ice cream that we took earlier, hmm, uh, perspectives pertaining to two different people would be uh, different. One person would find ice cream sweetness. If another person has diabetes and all, he will find how diabetes will be damaging your health. Ice cream would be damaging your health. First, two perspectives. One perspective is ice cream is really tasty, enjoyable thing. Another person would be find you should always refrain from having ice cream because it damages your health. And also, there would be more people that who are quite conscious about their body weight, and they would also be very protective about eating ice cream. And if somebody has uh, other health complications, then they have different perspectives. For all the phenomena, for all the things in this world, you will find there are different perspectives, right? It's like, you know, there is a fable, there is a story on the elephant and the blind man, right? Elephant and the blind man. Different blind men encountered the elephant, and they found different perspectives of the elephant. Elephant was the same phenomenon, but some blind men only touched leg and they gave a different interpretation on elephant. Some blind men only touched tail of the elephant and they give another interpretation of elephant. Likewise, elephant and blind men. The story is very good. Fable to understand what are the perspectives of a phenomenon, right? Then, when it comes to all the phenomena in this world, we have different perspectives, right? Different perspectives seen by different people. Therefore, there is no one only, there's no one particular very certain truth for things in this world. There's no some objective truth for things. There are subjective matters as well. Therefore, qualitative research is quite focused on subjective matters. Subjective matters. Subjective matters means your experiential things. Your ideas matters. Your experience matters. Your concepts matters. Your way of perceiving the world would matter. Like that, qualitative research identifies there are many perspectives for things in this world. You have, there are, you can experience things in this world in different forms, different ways. Therefore, we need some research approach to understand these perspectival things, right? Then the importance of qualitative research is that you can investigate different perspectives and subjective things of phenomena, right? Subjective things, subjectivities can be understood, right? So, therefore, now it's clear your data in qualitative research is different from quantitative research, right? Data in qualitative studies are different from data in uh, quantitative studies. Then, data in qualitative studies basically focuses on beliefs of the people, emotional responses, right? So, in questionnaire, where you are uh, collecting quantitative data, you just gather numbers, right? As I said earlier, right? As I said earlier, in quantitative data that you just give several multiple choices as answers. For example, in education level, you would say, that's the number. 15% of the sample have degrees. That's just a number. But in qualitative case, you are not interested in that number. Rather, you are interested on that person's belief, that person's emotion on education, right? That person's emotion, right? Yeah. And beliefs of people. That, for example, in a qualitative research, you would be going to the street and you would check people's beliefs on education system of the country, emotional responses towards education, right? uh, what they do, what they think about all level education in this country, what they think about higher education in this country, what they think about primary education in country, their emotions, their beliefs, their ideas, their concepts will be analyzed in qualitative research, right? So qualitative research, qualitative studies are a different approach to phenomena. Not every case can be understood through numbers, right? Can be understood through numbers. They have different stories. For example, if you take the same example of education level, check-in education level, right? You take a sample and you just click, you just check the education level. You say you are primary education, you are uh, uh, you have secondary education, right? Likewise, you check it, you click on it. Okay. There could be a person like Martin Wickramasinghe in your sample. Martin Wickramasinghe's formal education is very low. Formally, he has only primary education, right? But Martin Wickramasinghe is a very extremely erudite person, scholarly person. He had done a great deal of self-studies. His knowledge was superseding many professors in the country. Then, through a quantitative study, you cannot capture that reality. Hmm? Through a quantitative study, you cannot capture that reality. You will just put Martin Wickramasinghe into the category of primary education, and you will give a final out conclusion that this is the sample and 25% of the sample has only primary education. But there are exceptional cases, right? Exceptional cases. Then, if you want to see these subjective matters, these exceptional cases, you will have to go into qualitative research. Then people would be then you are talking to people in a different approach. It's not just taking multiple choice answers. Rather, you talk to them in sometimes semi-structured interviews or unstructured interviews. Sometimes you are going to immerse with the sample. There are many methods to obtain qualitative data. There is no one single way to obtain qualitative data. There are many ways, right? Therefore, now it's clear you are focusing on not the numbers here. Rather, you focus on emotions, their beliefs, their ideas, right, of people, right? Their personal experiences, their subjective things, subjectivities are to be analyzed in qualitative research, right? This is far different from quantitative research, right? Uh, so, uh, we can take this kind of uh, example, right? This kind of example. When a company, right, wants to know how customers feel about a product or service, you get the qualitative data, right? You can launch a product to the market and you can measure their feelings, right? For example, uh, you launch a smartphone product into the market, and subjective experiences of the users are different, are different, right? Uh, Sometimes some people would find color themes in that smartphone is attractive. Some people would find that's nice. But anyways, in marketing and all, even you can use qualitative data, right? Qualitative data, right? That you are going to measure what people feel about things, feel about products, feel about services, feel about different phenomena in this world. That's qualitative data. Then that data cannot be assessed mathematically. No calculations. In no mathematical calculation, right? Rather, qualitative analysis for that, particularly in anthropology, right? You use this approach of research, very extensive, very extensive, right? Uh, uh, for example, right? In uh, in anthropology, you go to uh, places of worship and you analyze people's views, their beliefs on certain things, right? And you talk to people. What are their beliefs? Will be analyzed, right? So that those beliefs, for example, Professor Gananath Obesekara's outstanding work, Cult of Pathini and Medusa's Hair, that he extensively used qualitative research method. He got to the places of worship and talked to these people, and also Professor Desmond Mallikarachi's some work on traders in Kandy and Pataraka, right? They talked, the researcher talked to the people and assess their views in a different approach. Particularly, uh, Professor Karnatha Visekara uses uh, a method like psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis, right? Method like psychoanalysis. Through psychoanalysis, he tried to understand their beliefs, their psychological complications. Like his work in work of culture, Karnatha is discussing very thoroughly on human affairs. This approach, even witnessed in studies like Sigmund Freud's some work, right? He basically adopted the method of psychoanalysis and he analyzed stories of the people. Stories of the people. He listened to stories of the people and he analyzed, analyzed, right? That's the Freudian method, right? In psychotherapy, he let his patient talk. He listened to childhood experiences of his patients. And finally, he analyzed why these complications arise, right? Then that's all about uh, theoretical and deductive approach, right? It's not a number game, right? When you are studying uh, psychological perspectives, you cannot deal with numbers, particularly, right? Likewise, in qualitative research, right, you do not use mathematical formulations. Rather, you study their experiences and you analyze them through different theories, and sometimes you will have to form some theories, right? So now it's clear to you all, uh, quantitative qualitative research is basically used in social sciences and humanities, but in other streams, in other disciplines, you can use qualitative research methods. But basically, qualitative research methods are used in social sciences and humanities, right? In natural sciences, there are two major branches in knowledge production. One is natural sciences, other is social sciences or humanities. In natural sciences, you do your studies in numbers actually, mathematically driven, scientifically driven, right? For example, in a zoology experiment or chemistry experiment or physics experiment, they are not much interested in qualitative aspects of that. In chemistry, you go to the laboratory, you put sample of certain chemical, there's some amount of certain chemical, and you put another amount of chemical there, and you mix them up. You come to, you see a result, and you record it. That's a basic approach in quantitative research actually, attached with the natural sciences. They are called natural sciences: chemistry, physics, zoology, botany. They all are called natural sciences. You are not interested in human feelings in that. You just go to the laboratory and you just experiment it some. You go to the laboratory in zoology uh, uh, experiment research. You just experiment with the mouse. You are not interested in feelings, emotions attached with them. Sometimes you will have to kill that mouse. No, no sympathy over that. No feelings, no emotions there. You just experiment with that mouse. You mathematically do that. Sometimes you would be given a dose of medicine, this amount of medicine to that mouse as an injection. Like 5 milliliters of that vaccine would be given to a mouse as a trial. And you see, sometimes that mouse would die. No, no, no subjective feeling on that. No sympathy, nothing. No human emotions attached to it. Just number game is there. You record that when you are giving 5 milliliters of that drug to that mouse dies, or it has serious complications. That mouse get paralyzed, and you just research. Then finally you record that this amount, this amount, that kind of complication. Likewise, you test these things with animals, and this is natural sciences. These are natural sciences. So, natural sciences are just done through quantitative data, amounts, numbers. When you are putting this amount of sodium, this amount of chlorine, and mixing them up, right? Then you get this amount of result. That's a number game works in natural sciences. No worries about feelings. No worries of feelings. All right. Here in social sciences, that's the opposition of natural sciences. In humanities, you are basically interested in feelings, emotions. For example, in humanities, uh, in poetry, right? A poet would be writing on very pathetic situation of a mouse. That how that mouse was suffering. What was the final result of that mouse life? Very pathetic. That young mouse was struggling for his life. Finally, he was paralyzed and he was struggling with life, and finally he died. That young mouse. For life, that mouse was undergoing huge suffering. That mouse was struggling for life. Right? Huge suffer was attached there. Then in humanities, you are focused on in poetry, basically. Right? Poetry and fiction and all. You are basically focused on the human emotional aspect. Right? When you are going to analyze that poetry, no use of quantitative data, no use of numbers for poems, no use of percentages for poems, no use of some formula for poems. In humanities, basically, it is all about emotions. Right? Then these are two worlds actually. Then basically now you see this qualitative research method is very, very connected with social sciences and humanities. Quantitative data and quantitative research methods are much connected with natural sciences. But there are cross sections, intersections in these two areas. Even natural sciences need qualitative research, and social sciences and humanities need quantitative research, but not that large, right? Then basic tendencies of these research methods are divided between natural sciences and social sciences. As social sciences students, that qualitative research approaches has to be studied because that is connected with interpreting your data connected with uh, society related themes and topics, right? Okay. Then uh, in uh, uh, qualitative research, in qualitative research, right? You would be collecting images, words, notes on behaviors, descriptions of emotions, historical context as date of your research, right? So here, not percentages, not numbers, rather uh, images, right? For example, collection of images, right? Uh, you can uh, change, you can study change of colors in a certain place through images and how that change of colors have caused psychology of people, right? Behaviors of people, right? Uh, for example, uh, in a town, right? In a junction, you study with the change of colors, people differently behave in a building, in an office, right? Actually, in foreign countries, they really they are really interested in these emotional aspects, right? Even giant tech companies, they have psychologists, right? They link colors with human emotions. They have color philosophy, colors, shapes. These are connected with our mentality, psychology, right? For example, Uh, there are some colors that make you cool down. Some colors make you very arrogant, right? If you see European way of architecture, European way of interior design, always they have a kind of simplicity, emptiness in their spaces, and very smooth colors, right? Sometimes very pale green or very light green, white, sky blue. Likewise, they have color combinations, right? Because these colors are connected with our mentality, as I said, right? When we have very harsh colors, you become quite arrogant, right? Basically, you become arrogant, right? You lose your temper, right? In an office environment, if the colors are very reddish, red, black, and very harsh colors are there. If kind of harsh colors are there, your mentality would be affected by that. So, change of colors can be change of colors can be uh, studied through images, or sometimes even you can study images pertaining to human behaviors or even historical images, mm, can be studied, right? Likewise, you can collect different images and you can analyze their qualities, right? And also you can analyze different wording, right? Different words used in different atmospheres, different contexts, different sets, and notes on behaviors, right? And for example, in modern marketing, right? They use some tactics like eye tracking, eye tracking. What is eye tracking? Eye tracking is that there would be a researcher. Uh, Researcher would be observing uh, people, their sample. For example, uh, a researcher who can be uh, sit nearby uh, the cashier or someplace nearby that, and what the researcher would be doing, track the eye movements of customers come to that place, where their eyes go. That was eye track. And then finally, the researcher will find what could be the most eye-catching place in the whole, in the area, right? where we, what is the speciality of that? What are the colors there? Then if you are going to put some interesting messages, then where should we put these messages? Then you track, you study eye movement of the customer, their behavior, right? You track them and you note them down. For example, the researcher can be there at the lobby of a restaurant and note it. This customer came, he took this and went on that. Oh, he went on that. He was staying there for that minutes. Take all the notes on behaviors of the customers. And finally, you analyze these behaviors. When you analyze these behaviors, right, you can come to conclusions on giving better outputs, better products for the uh, uh, people there, right? So, in qualitative research approaches, you basically collect things like images, right? Uh, things like uh, words, right? And uh, behavioral notes, descriptions of emotions, right? Even you can note down description of emotions, right? For example, when somebody is having a new brand of ice cream, you describe, you note down their emotion towards that ice cream. Sometimes they would find wow. Sometimes they would be very elated. Sometimes they would not be much interested, right? Different emotions. So note down, capture those emotions and analyze. And also historical contexts, right? For example, uh, if you are analyzing election campaigns by 1950s, what kind of tactics used by politicians there, right? What was the historical context of that? Why did they use kind of approaches, right? Likewise, these things will be collected for qualitative research. Images, words, notes on behaviors, descriptions of emotions, historical contexts, likewise, right? Then, uh, so data is collected in qualitative research through following methods, right? Like observations, interviews, surveys, focus groups, secondary research, likewise. Observations, right? Uh, in collecting data, you use a method like observation. Observation means you observe things. As I said that you stay at a lobby area of a restaurant or cashier, you observe uh, behaviors of your customers. That's observation. Or even you can uh, sit down on a roadside. You will not down, you will observe what people are doing when they use uh, road signals or color lights. All right, these are observations. Then interviews. You talk to people. As I said, interviews can be focused on both data, qualitative data and quantitative data. Rather, you can just give multiple choices answers, or you can talk very unstructured, right? Particularly anthropologists do that kind of very unstructured interviews. Then, if you are doing very serious anthropological studies, you will have to immerse in different communities, right? You will have to talk to them in different approaches, right? You have seen that, for example, that if you are doing a piece of research on an African tribe in Congo, you cannot just go there and talk to them. Talk to them. Rather, what you will have to do is you will have to live with them. That's what anthropologists do. Anthropologists live in communities for many years. Spend with them, mingle with them, immerse with them. Otherwise, you cannot understand these societies. That's the difference of qualitative data. You immerse with, mingle with people, and you do interviews in a very unstructured way. When you go to a village in Sri Lanka, you will not be in a qualitative data. You are not just asking questions and just marking out of multiple questions, multiple choices. Rather, you befriend with people. You visit them several times. You become a friend of them. Then you talk with them. Very relaxing, in a very unstructured way. And finally, you delve into your subject. You capture their emotions. You capture their ideas, their beliefs, their views, right? So, observations, interviews, surveys, focus groups. You can do surveys on certain cases. For example, uh, if you are studying about folk drama in the country, you go to uh, different villages and you survey how many families there with attached with folk drama, what are the methods they use, what are the equipment they use, right? Then that kind of service are also attached with uh, qualitative research and focus groups. Focus groups means that you uh, uh, mingle with, you interview, you connect it, uh, selected group of people, right? So, uh, you do some in-depth study. You will do in-depth discussion with focus groups, right? It will be facilitated by some moderators, right? So basically, in a focus group, you could have 6 to 10 people, right? You talk with them, have their feedback, their opinions, different views, right? So you allow the participants to talk open in a focus group, right? Focus groups participants should not be big number, maximum maybe 8, right? So then, because when small number of people are available there, many people can talk. When the number increases, uh, the people would be reluctant to express their own views, very authentic views. They would be reluctant to talk open, right? Then, in a focus group discussion, that place should be secure to express people's views openly and free of any intimidation, right? When people are talking openly in a focus group, you would note down these particulars, right? So that mediator, maybe the researcher, can take the notes, right? So, uh, there may be even 2 moderators, right? Not one moderator. Even single moderator can also do a focus group discussion. Even they have uh, 2 moderator, dual moderator mode as one moderator ensures the smooth execution, a smooth functioning of the focus group, right? The other moderator would be ensuring or guarantee the discussion of each question, right? That one can take the notes and other can carry on the discussion like this. right? So, uh, so you will have to set guidelines for a focus group discussion, right? Because there should be some rules, and in a focus group discussion, you can come up with very interesting insights. Multiple perspectives can be checked, right? And also, uh, secondary research. What is secondary data? Primary data and secondary data. There are two data types. One is called primary data and other is called secondary data. What is secondary data and primary data? Primary data is basically you generate that data by yourself, right? You go to the street, you record ideas of people. That's primary data, right? Then you go to the context. You take that raw data, right? So then researchers' direct involvement is there through that can be through interviews, that can be through like focus groups or any way that you directly take information. You directly collect data, all right? Right. So uh, that uh, you have direct contact with the sources, right? You go, that means you meet the real people, right? So in particularly market research and all, right? You can use primary data, but in qualitative research, right? Even you can use, in addition to primary data, that observations, interviews, surveys, all can be put under primary data. And you can gather secondary data as well. What are the secondary data? Secondary data is that data people have already generated. For example, uh, for example, uh, central bank reports. You find lot of data in that report. For example, unemployment rate, inflation, cost of living. You find many data, a wide array of data. But you yourself did not meet the people. You did not go to the ground. You did not go to the field, Rather, what did you do? You just went through the central bank report and you just captured that data, right? You just extracted that data. Then these are called secondary data because that data was generated by some other set of people, not yourself. If you take data from books, reports, journals, all come under the category of secondary data, not the primary data. If you go to the field, if you go to the road, if you take notes on interviewers, if you take notes from observations, then that's primary data, right? Okay. So in qualitative research, yes, you can gather data through observations, interviews, surveys, focus groups, and secondary research as said. Right. Now we come to a very, very important part. Here we are going to discuss some qualitative research methods. Qualitative research. What are these qualitative research methods? One is grounded theory, right? Very important methods will be discussed in this part. Grounded theory, right? Now, this research method has become very popular among researchers, particularly when it comes to qualitative research, right? Grounded theory. Grounded theory. In grounded theory, actually, you have two approaches in research. One is called inductive, other is called deductive. Inductive and deductive, right? Inductive and deductive. Grounded theory is an inductive form of research. Inductive. What is the difference between induction and deduction? Inductive research and deductive research. Deductive research, for example, mathematics. Mathematics has deductive approach. For example, you have prior definitions for the knowledge, right? In mathematics, in geometry, you have a clear definition on what is a triangle, right? You have a clear definition on triangle. You have a clear definition on square. You have a clear definition on rectangle. And you have a clear definition on circle. And you have a clear definition on symbol called pi. Likewise, mathematics is derived in that. When you have clear definitions on the basics, you create that knowledge system based on those definitions. those theories. One theory is proved based on another, previous, right? Trigonometry is totally derived on the belief that there is something called triangle. Trigonometry is derived in that, right? At the very first, you believe there is something called triangle, and based on that belief, in triangle you have this amount of angles, this amount of this kind of features are there, right? Then based on that, you create something called trigonometry. It's a vast subject. Then mathematics is all about that. Mathematics is all about that. It's a deductive. Deductive means you generate knowledge based on the previous knowledge. You generate new knowledge based on the previous knowledge. That's called deductive approach. Inductive approach is different. Most of modern applied sciences and natural sciences use this approach of studies. Inductive approach. For example, you would say you would study different sets of uh, swans you encounter, or you would uh, study all the crows you encounter, and you give a conclusion that uh, all the crows in the world are black. That's a conclusion. That's an inductive reason that crows are black. That's your conclusion because you study color of crows and you come to a conclusion that yes, all the crows I meet are black. Therefore, my conclusion is that crows are black. All the swans I encounter are white. My conclusion is that uh, swans are white. That's inductive reason. In laboratory, you put sodium with chloride and you come to a conclusion and you write all the times when you are tested, when you test sodium with chloride, you take this type of outcome. Then this is the conclusion. That's inductive reason. You test it, you study it, you study the samples, and you come to a conclusion. Your reasoning, your justification not come from the prior knowledge. Rather, you study the sample, you go to the field. It's not justified through prior knowledge. Rather, studying the sample and you tell a story. But there are many problems of inductive reasoning. right? That, for example, philosophers like David Hume raised that problem of induction. That was his thesis. Why? There could be many exceptional cases in your sample, in the study area. Yes, you could study all the cross you can come across. You would say finally, no, all the cross are black. But there may be cases, some white cross could be there, but you have not observed them yet, right? So, inductive reasoning has its own problems. But anyways, modern sciences are basically relying on that method of reasoning. In a laboratory, what we do, we observe things and come to a conclusion. In inductive reasoning, just what happened, you only study what you come across, right? In grounded theory is also that kind of inductive uh, project. In grounded theory, you investigate, you study a sample, and you come to a conclusion. But it has its own specialties. Okay, right. In traditional form of research, you normally begin with a hypothesis and then you test it to see if you are correct or not, right? Uh, in traditional form of research, you have a hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is that you have some statement to test, right? For example, right, uh, you would say uh, uh, you would say uh, colors like red and black would make people arrogant, right? That's your hypothesis. You say colors like red and black make people arrogant. That's your hypothesis. Now you are going to test it, whether it's correct or not. That's a traditional way of research. But in grounded theory, what happens? You don't have any assumption, no hypothesis, no preconceived idea. You do not know what happens in the ground. You just go to the field and collect data and you try to form theories out of that. Right? No assumptions, no hypothesis. Right? Um, you question a certain phenomenon very open. For example, why people are behaving differently in this atmosphere? That's an open question, right? Or why people are behaving arrogantly in public transport? That's a very open question, not a hypothesis, not a preconceived idea, right? You start with that open question and proceed. Then what you do, you study, you collect data, and you analyze data until you can form a fully fledged theory, right? What you can do, right? Right? Uh, you study the data, you collect the data, you analyze the data, and through that data, you can come up with a theory. Not a, you don't believe that previous theories would work. Rather, you create theories through information available. That's the beauty of grounded theory. No formal theory, right? Rather, you create your theory through your study, right? Yeah. Hopefully, you understood what is grounded theory means, right? Uh, let's think of uh, uh, some ice cream product, right? Ice cream product. In grounded theory, what you do, you go to the field, you go to a cafeterias, you go to restaurants, and you observe people how they are reacting to that ice cream. You observe it. You interview these people. Finally, you come to a conclusion, right? You create a new theory, right? Maybe the correlation between the taste of it and their mood, right? That will be studied, right? Likewise, in grounded theory, you go to the field, you collect data, you analyze data, then you identify new patterns in data. Then these patterns will be theorized, right? You theorize that this new flavor make them quite uh, energetic. That would be the final outcome. That outcome came through data themselves. You didn't have a hypothesis, prior, prior idea of that. Rather, you analyze the data you collected and you found some pattern in that data, right? There's another research method called action theory, right? Action theory. Uh, Action theory is quite active thing, not a just observations. Rather, it's also problem solving. in action research, what you do, partly you study and partly you do the problem solving part, right? For example, you can understand through these kind of examples. Uh, there's a communication problem in an office, right? They have some issues in the system. People are miscommunicated. Then you study the case, you observe things, and you change different things. For example, that if you used uh, emails for communication or just traditional letters, you change the communicative system. Instead of that, you will be using some social media tools like WhatsApp to communicate. Then you solve the problem to some extent and again you test it. Then you find behaviors are changed or not changed. That's action. Action theory is always treating the problem, solving the problem, and studying it again and again. Right? Make the changes and you study it again. It's partly studying, partly problem solving. Right? So through action research, right, analysts investigate a problem of weakness and develop a practical solution. Right? Practical solution. For example, uh, let's say an road development authority wants to study uh, color lights. They find some problems with color lights, right? People do not follow that rule. Then they change something, right? They make a change and again that uh, that problem, then again we test it with that practical solution. For example, you fix CCTVs nearby color lights. Then through CCTVs, you monitor violators and uh, that data is given to the police to take action. Then it's a practical solution. And then after taking that practical solution, then you research. Has the behavior of people improved? Then make a practical solution, research again. Make a practical, then again, if it doesn't work, again another practical solution, and again research to see the development. That's called action research. Make changes and do research. Make changes and do research. That means you take an action, test that whether that action work or not. Take another action, test uh, the work or not. Test the outcome or not. Right? So uh, the process of action research is cyclical. right? As I said, in a cycle, or a cyclical, not just finishing it up in one step. You do it and test it. Do it and test it. It's a cyclical thing. That research is assess solutions for efficiency and effectiveness of their action. And then they create further solutions to correct any issues found. Right. Then it is cyclical and going over and over. Then there is another research method in qualitative research methods that's called phenomenological research. Right? Phenomena or phenomenology. What is phenomenon or phenomena? Phenomenon is the singular word, phenomena is the plural word. Phenomenon or phenomena is that actually phenomenological things are things really available to us. All the things really available to us is called phenomena. Right? For example, tables, machines, chairs, fans, buildings, cars, roads, boats, ships. All of these things are phenomena. If anything is observable, it is phenomena. Right? All the observable things are called phenomena. And then are there unobservable things? Yes. For example, God. There's a concept called God in many traditions. You cannot uh, know who is God. You cannot touch God. You cannot see God. Right? It's not phenomenologically witnessing. Karma, Atma. Well, these things are not phenomenological things, not manifesting in front of, right? So, phenomenological research investigates phenomena in depth. Basically, phenomena is connected with your experiences about this world. Why? We see this phenomenal world through our five senses. Five senses. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue. These things give you different perceptions, different ideas to you. Therefore, all of these things are experiences about this world. Right? Phenomena means experiences about this world. That a car is an experience. Ice cream is an experience to you. It's a phenomenon. All the phenomena are experiences of us, but There are things that cannot be phenomenologically understood. They are like God, karma, atma kind of things are not phenomenological. We don't have experiences about them. We cannot tell who is God through experiences, right? We have not seen, we have not tasted, we have not heard, right? Therefore, phenomenological world means this all the experiential world, right? So, in phenomenological research, you are basically focused on your experiences and an understanding of the world, right? Phenomenological research means how do you experience a BMW car? Then BMW car want to do, the car factory the car company wants to do a phenomenological research on their car, new brand of cars. They will do, they will research on experience of the people, their perception of the people of that car. Sometimes I would find that seat belt is not uh, interesting. It's an experience. It's too tight. Oh, the seat is not that comfortable. When I am uh, uh, sitting on that, I found that's quite uncomfortable, right? Then it's experience. Then in phenomenological research, what you do, you investigate that experiences in depth, right? So this sort of study is primarily descriptive and seeks to broaden understanding around a specific incident. For example, that if you are trying to understand, phenomenologically understand a BMW car's experience, right? You become much descriptive, right? You try to note down descriptions of people. Different people tell different stories about their experience. Some people would say, I am so uh, excited by the uh, speed of this lighting system, this entertainment system. Likewise, you describe their experiences and you try to understand that through their descriptions, right? In researchers in phenomenological studies will have to be a bit careful. Why? That there could be biases, assumptions, right? Because it's a subjective thing. You describe your experiences in very subjective matters ways. You describe the comfortability of that car with the subjective things. For example, if you are a very fat man or very thin man, your experience could be different. So it's subjective thing, right? Sometimes a very fat man would find that seat belt is not comfortable, right? But it's quite subjective thing, right? But it's really important to describe his or her idea, her view as, because when designers are going to design again, then they will have to have some options, customizable options for the seat belt. To customize seat belts in accordance with their body size. Then they can that phenomenal when you are recording the phenomenological experience, you can have better understanding of the case. Right. So it's very important in a sense, but uh, in in not like in scientific much objective research. This is basically subjective and people's emotions are calculated. Then ethnography, right? Ethnography is an immersive study of a particular culture or community. I discussed this earlier as well. You immerse in certain group of people. Maybe you go to Congo or Amazon and you immerse in that culture, the tribes, right? And you study their conventions, social dynamics, cultural norms. What are the traditions they have? What are cultural norms they have? How they are treating their adults, elderly people, how they treat their children, kids. These are ethnographic research. There are a huge lot of ethnographic research you can find on internet because particularly in anthropology, particularly in 19th century, 20th century, the Western world was so interested in ethnographic research because they wanted to understand societies in Asia, societies in Africa, because they were expanding their colonies and they wanted to understand those people. So, active observation method would be quite important, useful in ethnography. Mingle with people, right? And do active observation, right? And integrate yourself to the culture, living in that culture. And also, you can use passive observation. Passive observation means you can watch closely from the outside, not fully immersing with themselves, right? Likewise, as I said, uh, you are uh, 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 you are immersing in you can go to a restaurant, McDonald's restaurant, and you would be take a seat some outside there. You are just passively observing people. People do not know about you. You just observe them, watching them, of course, but not active engagement with them, right? That is also part of ethnographic research. Then finally, case studies are also very, very important in uh, research, right? Case study is a type of in-depth analysis of situations, right? They focus on organization, belief systems, event, person, or action, right? So here you understand phenomena in real world context, right? For example, you can take case of in case studies, uh, you take different cases. For example, as a case study, you would take one particular McDonald's restaurant as a case, right? Or one particular outlet of other product. Or even you take one particular product itself, then it would be the case. right? Through that, that case could be an event, person, action, anything, right? For example, uh, you can take one particular election, presidential election as a case. And through that case, you study how promotional campaigns work. You can study 2020 American presidential election, how social media were using uh, in that particular election. That was the case system, right? Likewise, you can take different cases and study, right? Case studies are also connected with qualitative research. This is the right. Yes. Now I'm going to wind up the session. Yeah, this is today's lesson. Do you have any questions, any comments, anything? Right? Anything to ask? Any questions to raise? Uh, Anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, right. Then we can wind up, right? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You're welcome.